Hey guys, I'm MeeMee and I do Allsorts. So this should actually be the September's box. Well, at least that's what the website said when I decided to give myself an early birthday present. Yeah, my birthday's in September, so I'm another year older. Yay! So if you don't know, Art Snacks is in that subscription box from the US. This is the Art Snacks Plus box, so it's a lot bigger than the normal one, which is only a year big. And that's simply because you do get papers and a couple of extra items as well. I'm not sponsored, nothing affiliated, so with that said, let's see what I can get in my birth month box. And in September's box we get... Ooh! So from here it is actually September's. Yay! Alright, so first off we have this bubble mailer. So we have our destruction list and our normal Art Snacks materials, and this big one is our plus box materials. Okay, so this is our normal Art Snacks materials, which I'm going to open in a minute. And these are the last two items in our bubble mailer. So we've got this really interesting like action pencil sharpener. So far I haven't even used it yet, and it's actually really comfortable to hold because you've got these finger grooves, hence why it's like a neck shape. And by the way, I've just found out that this brand is Cum, but I've also noticed as well, if you can see in there, it says long point. So I wonder if this will actually give you a longer point on the pencils. So I'm really interested to see how this actually fares. And our sweet for this month is Warhead's Extreme Sour and Black Cherry flavoured. Alright, so now we get to see what's in the box. So first up we have a pack of Aqua brush duos, and this is by Lyra. Now Lyra is actually a really good brand. So this is the primary tone set. So in this set we can get yellow, red, pink, blue, green and black, and apparently it's dual-ended as well, so I'll be really interested to see how these actually work out. Right, next up we have Derwent line makers, which is basically fine liner. So we can get 3 in this pack, so we get a 0.1, a 0.3 and a 0.5, so we have a good range there. And apparently the colour is graphite, and so this is what the line makers look like. There's a little window there so you can see the nib, which the camera does not want to focus on. Okay, that's interesting. I have just noticed the inside of the box as well. Now normally the box is like usually full, but this one has a bit of a gap in it. I really don't know what to think about that. It seems quite a bit of a waste, or they could have like squeezed another one in there or something, or given us a free refill. I don't know, but that is really odd. Alright, and last but not least, we have this huge pad of white mixed media paper. So we get 20 sheets of 250 GSM, and there's 7 by 10 inches, which is really nice. Ooh, now there's the brand that I absolutely love to see on anything, Clairefontaine. Clairefontaine do the most amazing papers I've ever tried, and I've tried an awful lot. But anyway, stop gushing over that. So the paper is actually very thick and nicely textured, so we've got some tooth on it. Alright, so now we get to see what's in the normal Art Snacks. Alright, and we get... Okay, so first dump is quite possibly my favourite Art Snacks sticker I have ever received, and it's in like a pink pastel background with different flavoured ice creams on. Alright, up next we have this highest quality touch drawn pencil by Shinhana, in whatever F means. So I'm assuming that it's quite possibly a standard HB pencil. I don't know, I've never seen an F before. It's usually like a H, a HB or a B pencil, but I also love the fact that it's left unsharpened, so I can really test out the pencil sharpening. Alright, up next is another favourite brand of mine, which is Tombow, and I have no idea what this is because it's all in Japanese and I can't read a lick of it, but I'm guessing it's a pen, and we have a fine nib on one end and another fine nib on the other. So now I'm wondering if it's like a two-colour one, because there's a black cap on one end and like a grey one on the other. I think I'm going to have a look at the instruction list for that one. Alright, and last but not least, it looks like we have an acrylic pen. Don't know if you can tell, but the plastic wrapping is off and it's in a very gaudy neon orange. Yeah, if you can't read it, neither can I, because I'm having a hard time just trying to make out half of this. So it's acrylic, it's water based. There's some of the writing down there which I literally cannot see, and it has an extremely big nib, so I get into a flash of neon. Alright, so that's everything in the box. So I'm going to have a quick tidy up and I can get on with the experimenting. You know, something I've just noticed, which I'm very, very surprised about, because we have something water-based. Art Snacks did not give me a paintbrush, which is very surprising. But anyway, I just pulled down the paintbrush then and got from another art subscription box. So we're all good. Alright, so first off I'm going to try off the pencil, and as you can see, it did sharpen to a very long point. Now I do not have a pencil that sharpens like this long. This is like a standard pencil length, and this is the longer length, so you can see the massive difference. I have had to look into the instruction list, and apparently it's supposed to be smear free as well. Okay, so we can try out this fancy pencil. Okay, so the pencil looks like. Let's see how smear free it actually is. I know you can't really see, but I have to say that's quite impressive. It still does actually smear. I mean, I can just about lightly see in there, and I won't really hammer with the graphite. There is a tiny little bit of smudging, but I don't know if you can see it on my finger, but honestly guys, that is very, very impressive. Because normally any other pencils and you'd have this massive noticeable grey smear. So yeah, I'm so impressed with that. Alright, so up next are the line makers. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but these are actually a grey colour, so I don't know where graphite came from. Right, next up is this Tombow marker, and I was actually right, it is a dual coloured pen where it's black on one end and grey on the other. So the black end, whoa, now there's a reason why I do love these pens, because these have rubber nibs. They do have some resistance against the paper, but for me personally, I'm thinking more control and getting like thick and thin lines in just one sweeping motion. So it's like a brush pen, but with more control. Now I'll get to try on the Lyra Aqua brush duos. Alright, so there's all of the colours. So I'm going to activate each one of these and see what we get. Alright, and here we are. The colours are actually quite nice from what I can see. You know, I'm actually quite impressed with this. The colours are actually keeping the vibrance, but I love the variations of colours. Alright, and last but not least is this Gaudy Marker. Now I just wish that the camera would actually pick this up a lot more, but it is very, very neon. Oh my life. Honestly guys, I cannot tell you how super neon that is. I think I need a pair of sunglasses. I don't think I've ever owned anything as neon as this, and I really can't think of anything to compare it to. But honestly, in comparison to the rest of the colours, that is just way loud. But I have to say, I am actually really impressed in how neon that actually is. So as much as I hate things, I love it at the same time. So we don't necessarily get a prompt with this, it's more of like a suggestion. So I'm going to have a bit of a think, because we do have like a little bit of a mishmash of everything, because I need to figure out what I'm doing with this neon orange. Oh yeah, before I go out, a joke for this month is, what do you call the colour that doesn't exist? A pigment of your imagination. Okay, I'll see myself out. Bye! Well, it didn't take me long to figure out what exactly it was I wanted to do. I really wanted to incorporate this in my picture as much as possible and to make it as obnoxious as the colour itself. And so it didn't take me long as I went into the kitchen 2 minutes later and I noticed my Monster Energy drink on the side, which is pretty much like the same obnoxiously bright orange, which is actually the Monster Energy drink. I thought, well, why not incorporate the Monarch Butterfly? And like I said, I wanted to incorporate this colour as much as possible. Why not draw a woman wearing a dress and got the Monarch Butterfly's pattern on it? And so that's what I've got here. When it comes to mystery boxes, I will come up with the idea, stick with it, and then figure everything else out as I go along. And I'm going to try and make this as colourful as possible, and as well I'm going to throw in a bit of rainbows, a dark background, just to push everything forwards and to hope and pray that everything comes together. Right, so let's go. Okay, so I have to apologise for the camera cutting out. Unfortunately, I can't see the viewfinder because my camera is at like a 90-degree angle. I have to crank my neck around and see how long is left before it stops recording. Also, as well, I was really in the moment doing this. I was enjoying it far too much that I forgot I was even recording. So anyway, enough of that. But as you can see, I went and filled in these different sections in almost like a rainbow order, and just wanting something really colourful. And then, I actually quite like the way how it's turned out, but I'm just wanting to pack a lot of colour in there, and this was like the only thing that came to mind. Alright, so up next I am going to be using this obnoxious thing and to make this even more obnoxious. I am very nervous about this. I tell you what, this orange is really hurt my eyes, and it's really badly tearing up the paper as well. This is definitely not watercolour friendly. Right, so what I've done here is I've just pumped a load of the acrylic in the palette here, and I'm just going in to refine like the transition a little bit more, just to have a bit more of a nicer gradient rather than just like these really harsh lines. Okay, so I just found out that you have to be super careful with this pen because I'm just trying to use it, and I noticed that this pen was like really loose because there was just paint coming out everywhere, and yeah, I had a fun time trying to clean that up. So now I'm gonna go in with a bit more colour just to try and blend it in a little bit more and go from there. By the way, this isn't a normal drawing style, and I like to have more of like a Square Enix style, you know. My favourites being Kingdom Hearts and the Final Fantasy games. You know, I just really love the semi-realisticness of everything. But I've incorporated like other people's styles and stuff like into my artwork, but since doing all of these challenges, I found that sometimes my style doesn't actually suit what it is that I want to do. Like for instance, this one, you know, I still wanted to keep the proportions, and keep my style into it, but also make it more cartoony to fit what it was that I wanted to do. Like I really wanted to make this dress big and bold, and I thought that doing like a normal style wasn't really going to cut it for me. I wanted like a big bold silhouette, so I settled on this. And to really bring the colours forward, and didn't really have much of a choice really, because I don't have skin colours. I had to go with like a brown skin tone, which by the way was like really hard for me to pull off because I had to do it in a palette, and because all of the ink was sort of like shrinking, there wasn't like a lot of it for me to do, like to do everything in like one pass and to get that nice flat base coat down. So everything became extremely splotchy, as you can see, like especially around the face. It's terrible. Yeah, you know, I'm actually quite like doing different styles for different projects because, you know, I can loosen quite a bit, and like with this I was able to do nice big bold shapes instead of doing like nicely tight details. And sometimes it's just nice to let loose and do random stuff that you're not normally used to. Alright, and there we go. Now looking through the viewfinder, it does actually look like the orange is coming through a little bit bright, but anyway, I'm actually so pleased at how this came out. It's bright, it's vibrant, it's really obnoxious. I just really love it. Some things could have been improved, and like the gradation quite a bit, but unfortunately the supplies weren't exactly working well together. But you know, you work with what you got. Even though that I didn't have a good idea going into it, it did actually come out the way how I wanted it to. Especially as I mentioned, I wanted a black background to make all of the colours pop, and the colours have really popped. I also do love the idea of having like all of the orange bins and with the bits of colour on the end and add that extra bit of colour. For me, it just works so well. And also as well, I just love the design of the dress. And now if I actually wore dresses and I was a seamstress, I would love to have a dress like this. Now I would like to point out that these are not wings. They're supposed to be in like ties on them. I think it's the halter neck. And then just made them out to be like wings, you know, and bits of extra decoration, you know, to tie in with the rest of the dress. So you've got like a set of wings down here, a set of wings up there, you know, and thorns would make for a nice silhouette as well. I just went simple with the hair, having it tied up, simple shoes, and yeah, I just think it works really well together. And in this moment in time, I'm sorry if the lighting keeps changing, the sun keeps coming in and out, so I can't control that. Now this did actually come with its own challenges, primarily because I'm wanting like dark skin colour, and the only way how I could do that was to use a paint palette and scribble the watercolour markers in it, but as I said, it was actually quite challenging because I couldn't get down those flat colours, and trying to put a darker colour on top of the shadows was not happening whatsoever. But hopefully the bright, bold, obnoxious colour from the paint mark and like kind of draws your attention away from that. But in a way, I'm actually quite glad that the skin colour is actually toned down quite a lot, because the focus, like I said, is mainly on the dress. So anyway, on to the product review. So first off is the pencil and pencil sharpener. Even though then this is just an ordinary pencil, it was really nice to work with. It didn't smudge as much as I thought it would, especially like on the initial test. If you're looking for like a really good smudge-ish free pencil, I would highly recommend that you would try these. It's the Touch Drawn Pencil by Shin-Han Art, so please check them out and give it a go. Pencil sharpener was an absolute dream to use. It was comfortable using it, and it did actually give that long point on the pencil. Alright, up next we've got the line makers, and they were really nice to work with. I didn't exactly use these much, it was mainly just to try and get in some subtle shadows in the skin, you know, and just to try and heighten that up a bit, but it didn't work because these are a little bit too light. And they're actually in a really nice cool grey colour, so if you're looking for a cool grey pen, there you go. On to my favourite supply, which is the Tombow Pen, and as I've mentioned, I love using them. I've got really nice thick and thin lines. You know, I was actually really surprised that they had such great coverage, especially in doing larger areas. So if you're looking for a pen that's got more control, I would say use these, because like I say, the rubber nib has a bit more of a grip, so you can have more control over the thick and thin lines. To me personally, it's a great alternative from using a brush pen. So yeah, give that one a go. The watercolour markers are actually really nice to work with. I would actually love to try this on actual watercolour paper, because on this paper they were terrible. I'm sorry, but it's not the marker's fault, it was actually the paper, because the paper is mixed media and not watercolour based. So yeah, I'll get into that later, but for now these pens are amazing. I don't normally work with watercolour pens, but they did the job. They blended out beautifully, and the colours are amazing, and I do love the fact that it's dual ended with the brush on one end and a bullet nib on the other, so you can be more precise. I really don't know how this would actually work up against other brands, but for me, I actually quite like them. Right, and last but not least in the supplies, the acrylic marker. Now, as you know, I have a love-hate relationship with this thing. I hate it, but I love it at the same time. So easy to use. I love the fact that there's a big nib. The colour, you've heard me say it a million and one times, it's bright, it's obnoxious, it hurts my eyes, but for something like this, it was perfect. It does work like any of the acrylic markers, you know, like Poscas, and I'm actually quite surprised that you can get something so neon in acrylics. I haven't got any other than like neon colours, so this is an absolute first. The only complaint I've got is that this bit does actually come off, so I would actually say be very, very careful with that. Right. The paper. Paper itself was amazing to draw on. I loved it, and it's got a nice texture and a nice thickness. It just was not for these supplies whatsoever. I know that it's mixed medium paper, but honestly using wet mediums like the acrylic marker and watercolour markers were definitely not for this paper. I mean, you can literally see right into how much paper is actually ripped off because the paper was wet. And when I was using the acrylic marker, just one pass and it was literally ripping the paper off. So even though I've gotten to no qualms about the paper itself, it's just not for wet media, so you can see how badly it's warped. But I can tell you one though, it has actually held up really nicely. So even if you do use a little bit of water or maybe markers, it has not come through on the other side, so that is actually a really good plus. So would recommend the paper for other mediums, just not wet ones. Alright, and so that's everything. Now, as I said, I'm thoroughly enjoying this and I absolutely love art snack boxes. So if you guys are actually interested in getting into your own art snacks box, I will leave a link in the description box below. And with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.